Welcome back to the truck. This is our Alaska recap video.
We need one of those. There was a lot.
Yes.
We did a lot.
We wanted to share with you ideas on everything that we learned so that you can create your perfect Alaska RV trip.
Woo!
So we got 5 things we want to share with you.
Yes.
Trish?
Okay, we got 5 topics here. So, how to create your perfect trip, know who you're getting advice from, when's the best time to go and how long should you stay, how much will it cost you, and some great resources.
Yeah, we do have some good resources. So, now if you watch the videos all in order, last Sunday we left Skagway and we took the long road down the Cassiar Highway.
Yes.
And then we crossed the border and we were officially out of Alaska. And we thought we would put a timeout on the videos so that we can, turning right, so that we can share this video with you. And then we'll get back to our time in Vancouver, Seattle, Sacramento, and then we ended up going back into Arizona in late September. Right now, we are up in Flagstaff, and Trish and I are gonna go hike Mount Humphreys. So,
you wanna go along and find out some really cool stuff about Alaska?
All right, so let's kick this video off, and we will meet you up at the trailhead. It is so beautiful up here, but it is also very windy, so excuse the audio. Let's just dive right in. Trish has the first tip.
Okay, here's the first tip. Think of Alaska. Now close your eyes. What do you see? Glaciers, bears, fishing. That is your perfect Alaska trip.
Alaska is huge, and if your mental image is glaciers, or if it's Denali, or if it's fly fishing in one of the rivers, or if it's salmon fishing or halibut fishing, all of these places are in different areas. And so I think it's important to know what your perfect mental image of Alaska is so that you know where to go and how much time to allocate to what you were expecting so that you can plan your trip around that. What was your Alaska mental image?
Bears, bears, and bears. I wanted to see a bear with a fish. I wanted to see a bear playing. I wanted to see a bear with cubs. That was
so
what
we
I
just,
wanted.
and I had the same mental image, so we just assumed that once we were in Alaska, all right, where are the bears?
Where are the bears?
And so when we got there, we realized, okay, you go to this area in the Kenai Peninsula, you have to get on a plane to go over to Wolverine Creek, which is what we did, which is beautiful. There's other places that you can see them, but you have to kind of plan.
When you're planning your trip to Alaska, it's important to figure out who you're going to talk to, because there are so many people that have been and they have even more advice.
Oh my God, we received so many comments and so many suggestions. It was hard.
And that's how we found the good stuff.
That is how we found the good stuff, and we appreciate it. We appreciate it. But there needed to be a way for us to decipher who to get advice from, because
filter through all the different things.
And for that, we came up with the 5 types of RV Alaska travelers. No.
So what are the 5 different kinds of travelers? Mark came up with this and it made me laugh so hard. So anyway.
We've got, the first one is the adventurer.
Yes.
This is the person that is looking for everything that they can do in Alaska.
I'm here, what's going on?
What do I do? Number 2?
Naturist.
This is someone who wants to just be, like, soak in all the nature. They want to just read a book. They want to be in the nature like where we are right now and just absorb Alaska.
Yes. And then we have the conqueror.
This is the person that when they leave Alaska, there is a flag somewhere with their name on it.
At the top of the highest peak, at the end of the longest road, they have every patch kit for their tire because they have been through it all.
Yes, and they do not mind gravel roads.
Not at all.
Number 4?
I am the conqueror.
Okay,
we have the historian.
Yes, number 4, the historian. So the historian likes the nostalgic aspect of Alaska. They like to go where everything happened first, the gold rush and the various places, and they like to stand where people before them stood.
And you can in Alaska because in most places it's like a time capsule.
It is.
So it's pretty cool in that regard.
It's very cool. And then number 5?
We have the boondocker.
Yes.
It's the person we wish we could be.
We really do wish we could be that person, but we're not that person. This is the person that looks at an RV park and kind of like
scoffs.
Kind of scoffs and then drives on by. Okay, Trish, so which ones are we? Do you think?
Well,
do you think anyone is in doubt?
I think we dabble. I think we dabble.
We might. If we dabble, it's for the videos.
Well, I think we are the adventurers.
We are.
But here's why, and I think this is important because we have 2 teenagers. If we had 2 smaller kids, then, well, we have 3 teenagers, but we had 2 teenagers with us. If we had smaller kids, we could have been stationary. We could have done more history, more towns. But with our group, it's we've landed. What's going on?
So we think it's important for you to know who you're getting your advice from so that you have the proper expectations, because no matter what the recommendation is, it will be a must do. And if you don't do,
they're must do. They're gonna say, you missed it.
You missed it.
And then you're gonna feel kind of like, oh no, I missed it, but you didn't.
You didn't miss it. You're doing your perfect Alaska trip.
Because remember, Alaska is huge, and the road is only this big.
Someone else said, so did we drive 4,000 miles so that we can drive 500 miles? Pretty much.
Yeah.
But I did talk to someone at the RV park in Stewart, and she said, I've just kind of gotten used to the fact that I'm not going to do it all. That I'm going to do as much as I can, and then I'm going to leave, and I'm going to feel good about it.
Right, or you make it a lifelong adventure. How many people did we meet that said, this is our 12th time here, and we take on a little bit every time. So just keep all that under your hat so you know how to filter information, and you know how to get out what you want to get out, because it's a big place.
All right, Trish, what's next on the list?
When to go and how long to stay.
Ooh, that's a good topic. Trish, the condition's getting worse. Now I'm recording trees. This is not good. This is not good. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, watch the Skagway episode. All right.
Getting cold.
Okay, when's the best time to go? And how long to stay there?
Well, we left in May 27th.
That's right.
And then we came back in September 14th, we were in Seattle. So that's about 110 days.
Was it 100? Did we calculate 110?
Somewhere there, over the 100 mark.
And that was, you know, that's a long time, but that entire time was not spent in Alaska. I think we spent 74 days in Alaska.
Okay,
from mile 0 in Dawson Creek, British Columbia,
mile 0
to Skagway. When we left Skagway, it was about 74 days.
Around and out. And
we felt like that was a bit more time than we needed in Alaska. We feel like it can be done much shorter. Now, there was a couple reasons why it took longer. We had to fly out to pick up Carson from his camp.
Yes.
And then
we had a couple times where we had to pause and not do anything.
And then you had to fly out to put Tori into school.
Yes.
And so because of that, we had to go back to Anchorage twice.
So one of the things that I did like starting later is that I feel like we missed the mosquito season.
Yeah.
So that was the end of June, beginning of July. But every year is different.
Now this was a wet year, and it gets progressively more wet as we stayed, and so we were there from June 22nd to September 5th-ish, and it just got rainier and rainier and rainier. But this was a wet year. You
calculated the rain days.
Okay, I did, and we have an entire spreadsheet that we're going to link to this blog that we'll get to in the resources. We were there for 110 days.
Yeah.
It rained 44 days
so
of
about
those
half
110.
the time we were there, it rained.
Yeah.
Which it felt like more.
I think if you were to go up in May and June, it would be maybe a little drier. Or if you were to stay, well, there was apparently some long spell in September where there was like 25 days of no rain.
We missed that.
We missed that. We feel like we really liked our departure date from mile 0 in Dawson Creek.
Dawson Creek. On
June 22nd. That was fine. We feel like when we spoke to the people who were in caravans, it seemed like a lot of the caravans were somewhere between the caravan coordinated trip. Their trips were about 45 to 55 days long. And
that seems pretty darn good.
We felt like that was a reasonable time to be there.
Just under 2 months. But if you only had a month, you could totally do it.
Oh my gosh.
And if you wanted to fly in and just spend 5 to 10 days, you could totally do it.
Okay. We had to stop to talk about money. Trish decided to sit down because she didn't want to fall over and have a heart attack.
In 110 days, we spent $3,468 in fuel alone.
Yeah. Alaska is definitely a little bit more pricey. The groceries are a little bit more expensive. Obviously, the fuel is expensive because you spend so much time going up through Canada to get there. But there is an exchange rate. But still, it was, at least in 2018,
pricey.
It was on average like $4, over $4 per gallon of fuel.
Yeah.
And so now, let's talk about RV parks.
Well, we primarily stayed in RV parks, but you do not have to. If you want to be a boondocker and you want to get your free game on,
yes,
there are so many places for you to stay in every town.
Oh yeah. In fact, I would be willing to say that if you did not want to stay one night in an RV park, you would not have to in Alaska.
Absolutely.
There are that many options.
And then there's places for you to dump and get your water resources and everything like that. You could be totally fine.
Now, if you want a list of all the RV parks we stayed at, I kept track of this, which is not my personality. I did it for you. And I kept on every single night, every single day, what town we were in, what RV park we stayed at, how much we paid for that RV park, and if it rained or not. And I created a Google Docs sheet that we're gonna put into the blog. So if you're interested in that information and how much we spent for RV parks, just click that link and check out the blog.
And if you think we spent a lot on fuel, just wait till you see what we spent in RV parks.
All right, but I feel like it does deserve some level of an explanation.
Yes.
And because we're doing videos, and because we're working remotely, and because the kids are going to school, it's just nice to have full hookups. And so when we dry camp, with the 4 of us, we can only make it with our tanks for about 2 or 3 days, which means every 2 or 3 days, we're packing up to go dump or to go refill and move. It just takes too much time.
And that doesn't have to do with electricity because we have plenty of power. It's our tanks. So we run out of water or we fill up too fast.
And so although boondocking is beautiful, it just slows the KYD train down. And so we just say, let's go hit an RV park.
Did I mention I make like 5 meals a day?
We are not making very good progress on this hike.
No, but we're having a great conversation.
Oh, that's true. Okay, next on the list, resources. I'll go get the camera. Let's go.
Oh, wow.
What?
So pretty up there. The mountain with snow.
Did I mention that Mount Humphreys is over 14,000 feet and the elevation is making it somewhat difficult to complete this video? We might have to stop to do resources, Trish.
Okay. We'll go sit on that rock.
Okay, hopefully the wind here is adding some element to the video and not just ruining the sound. I think it is. It sounds really cool. Okay, before we dive into some resources, I want to talk about 2 major concerns I had before going to Alaska.
Oh, okay.
Cell phone coverage and no reservations, and that is no reservations to RV parks.
Correct.
We heard from people that your reservations aren't going to be a big deal except for when the salmon are running, and then you're probably never going to be able to get into an RV park.
Wrong.
I don't know. Maybe some years that was the case. That was not our experience.
No.
We had not a single issue without having a single reservation.
Well, and we went into town when there was dip netting.
Yes.
We went into town when there was a salmon derby. We went into town when there was a halibut derby. So those were the busiest times for each one of those towns, and we were totally fine.
We didn't have a problem at all. In fact, there were lots of options, and you can spend $25 a night. You can stay at one of those, like a state park for $10 or $15 a night. You can stay at an $80 a night RV park. It's just it's the same as the lower 48. There are lots of options. I will say the RV parks in general they don't have the same amenities as the lower 48.
If you were to spend $50 or above at an RV resort here, you would expect a fire pit, a bench, maybe even a level site.
Yeah, and possibly like laundry and Wi-Fi, stuff like that. Alaska RV parks are a little bit more rudimentary.
Well, it's rugged.
It is rugged.
So just expect that.
There are some nights, like the Haynes Hitch Up was a super nice park that had the picnic benches in the grass and that type of stuff. But we're not working with them or anything. I'm just saying that it was a nice RV park.
But what we're not mentioning here is what you get in return, because there's always a return.
That's right.
So like in Seward, we were on the ocean.
Yeah, for $15 a night to dry and $25 a night for...
I think it was $40 for...
electric and water.
Electric and water.
Okay.
But
all right, so that's one. So that was one concern. The second concern was cell phone coverage. We were completely prepared to go days without cell phone coverage, and that just wasn't the case. The Alaskan Highway all the way up, we had coverage every day, not every hour. Sometimes
not every hour, so especially in the towns we had it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes on the road.
And then through the whole loop, anytime we were on the Alaskan Highway, once we got up to Fairbanks and we went down through Talkeetna, down into Anchorage and the whole Kenai Peninsula, pretty much fine.
The only zones, there is no cell phone, none at all, nada. The Cassiar Highway.
Yes.
And in Denali.
Denali National Park.
But that's the case with all national parks.
Yeah. And by the way, it's important to know that we're Verizon, so we have a Verizon account for all the phones, and we have a jetpack to get data.
Okay, I have one more thing to add.
Okay, yes.
We have been getting so many awesome emails from people that are like, I've been watching Alaska, I'm going, I'm buying a rig, and I'm hitting the road. So before you decide to buy a rig, or if you have no RVing experience, our suggestion would be to do something local and understand your rig before you go and drive 8,000 plus miles.
Yeah.
Where you don't have the resources that you need, or
you're still trying to figure out your rig.
Yeah.
And Trish brings this up because we have heard from a lot of people that are buying a rig and Alaska is their first trip.
Yes.
Alaska was beautiful. It will be a memory forever. It is more challenging than anywhere else we've RV'd.
Right.
It's just further away, the weather conditions, it's just a little bit more challenging. And we're concerned that if someone tackled Alaska as their first trip, they might think that
they're like, this is RVing?
Yeah, RVing's hard.
And RVing's not hard. RVing is a blast.
And so we have the experience of the last 2.5 years to take into Alaska, which kind of rounds off the edges.
We can troubleshoot.
Yeah.
So if you do a couple trips local before you go and take that trip, just so you know your rig, or if you're getting a brand new rig, then you'll be better prepared.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a good tip.
I agree. Is that good? Do we want to? Is that? I feel like it's like a homecoming, like that homecoming picture.
No, come on. So let's talk about resources.
Okay. All right. Resources.
Resources. Right out of the gate, everyone will tell you hands down, milepost.
Oh my gosh, we got that. I mean, I think more people mention the milepost than Rain-X.
Whoa.
No, I'm totally kidding.
Whoa.
I'm totally kidding. Rain-X is
supersedes
the engagement trigger. You say it one time and the comments start flooding in.
It goes Rain-X, milepost, Instapot. Those are the 3 hot topics, okay?
Oh my gosh. And just as a follow-up, I will be getting the Rain-X in the container that sprays up on the 2-in-1, the orange thing. Ooh. That was the overwhelming comment, so I will be doing that.
Okay, so let's just keep going with resources here.
Okay, good. All right, so milepost.
Milepost, there's another book by the churches, and we will put that in the blog.
Well, it's RVing Alaska by Mike and TERRI Church. It's the same couple that wrote RVing Mexico. That was
Europe.
Europe, yeah. That was a fabulous resource when we were in Mexico. So we got those 2 books. Now, our opinion, and again, we're not, we are partial to our phone, right? Yeah. So we found that Mike and TERRI's book, their resources, were a little bit more helpful to us, just the way it's laid out in an actual book format. And you were talking about something about itineraries?
Yeah, they have a couple itineraries in the beginning of the book, depending on which highway you want to take. And then it breaks it down by day. And it says, this place is super interesting, you should stay for 2 days. This place is worth a drive through.
And we found that their assessment of a particular town or an RV park was spot on. Okay, so let's talk about the milepost. I found the milepost to be a little bit like an encyclopedia. It is per mile.
Yes.
All of Alaska per mile. I couldn't imagine going to Alaska without it. Let's say you got a flat tire or you had car trouble. You could look at your mile marker, you could pull up the book, and you can read down in the book like an encyclopedia, and you can say, in 3 miles, there's a chain pullout. Like, it's that detailed. So it is an amazing resource, but it is a lot like an encyclopedia. You have to go and look for the information, whereas Mike and TERRI's book was an actual book that we could read in paragraph format, which we just preferred.
Well, and all of this is to be said that you actually have to open the book to find out what's inside the book, because probably the first 2 days we were like, cross-referencing.
Yeah.
And then by the end we were stuck at a border sleeping overnight because we didn't read the book saying that borders have hours.
Yeah, and someone said you could have just looked up the hours in the milepost. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I could have. But
that would have been a very good
idea. It just didn't even occur to me. We just get driving, and after you spend once you spend a lot of time in Alaska, you just start driving. You treat it like the lower 48. The kind of the mystique is gone. So on the way up, you're all prepared, and then the more you do it, you're just like, oh, okay, we're in Alaska.
Yeah.
All right, so those are those 2 resources. I think another resource is what we're going to put together associated with this video, and that is a blog entry. We're going to do our entire route. Of course, I already shared with you that we're going to have all of our lodging, and the fuel spreadsheet that I've been keeping track of is going to be in there. There is some slight issues with the calculations with liters and Canadian exchange rate and whatnot. So,
but you're going to get a round number. You're going to get a round number.
Yeah.
And then I also like what the comments are down below in each one of the different videos, because people are like, you missed this, or I loved this part, or you should have gone here, this is a great restaurant, because sometimes people will think we're still actually there. So they're giving us suggestions.
That's true.
So you can see those suggestions for yourself. So I think those are great too.
Are those all of our resources? I thought we had one more.
We have one more. Oh, we have an Amazon page with helpful gear, a gear page.
We put all the gear, like this jacket, which I absolutely love. It's a cool jacket.
You need a rain jacket.
You need a rain jacket, and it cannot be weather resistant, or what's that called? Water resistant.
yeah.
It has to be waterproof. And jackets like this also need to be treated. You don't just buy it once. You have to kind of retreat them. And then we got a ton of comments on Trisha's boots that you got in
I love
Homer.
those things.
They're fantastic. All the locals wear them. If you want to pretend like you're a local, put the boots on.
You need those boots. As soon as I got them, I never wore another pair of shoes.
And you got mistaken for a local twice once she had them on.
Just saying. Just saying.
So anyway, that and a whole bunch of all the stuff that we bought for Alaska, like Mike and Terry's book and the milepost, the boots, the jackets, stuff like that, we put on our Amazon page in a separate category called, I think, like something like Alaska gear. So definitely go check that out.
Yeah, one-stop resource.
And know that everything through Amazon is completely private, and you don't pay anything more using our Amazon link just by searching on your site.
It's our affiliate link, but you don't pay more. Nobody knows what you purchased, and just like you said, it's totally private.
So, is that it?
I think that's it. That's our wrap.
Let's hike on out and say goodbye.
Okay. Oh, it's like a little Charlie Brown Christmas. So cute.
So there you have it. That's our official Alaska RV wrap. And we hope you found it helpful. And if you did, give it a thumbs up. We really do kind of rely on the KYD community, the people who are subscribed. Hit that little thumbs up button. Okay, I know it can be a little confusing sometimes because the videos run a month behind, and we shared with you that we're in Flagstaff right now, but we just left Cassier, or we just left Skagway last week. So just like I said, we have...
I don't know where to walk, there's ice. Okay.
So next Sunday is going to be Vancouver, then we went down into Seattle, and we went down to Sacramento, and then we arrived home. And coming back home, in quotes, was fun because we got the rig organized and we were able to see Tori, and I think that'll be pretty cool.
And our moms.
Yes.
We miss our moms.
Oh yes, of course, of course.
So do you think Alaska was worth it?
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. I think it's one of those trips that grows with intensity over time.
It does, yeah.
You just like look back and you're like, oh, Alaska was so cool. No matter how hard it is, no matter how many times it rains, no matter how many mosquitoes there are.
Yep.
In the moment, it might be challenging, but there are so many beautiful things that you just can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, we heard that from people who have been to Alaska, but they haven't been there in a few years. They said, oh my gosh, this is bringing back all these memories. So it's definitely something that, it's a memory that will expand over time.
Yes. The fish was this big.